The book of Enoch speaks about this in a lot more detail. Now, here we have Baal, and he has a lance in his left hand, or a lightning bolt in his left hand. And on most images of him, this is a club in his right hand. So he is the storm god, and he is a warring god. As you can see, it's a phallic symbol, so he is a fertility god. Now, this was the god of Jezebel. Jezebel's name means Baal exalts. Her father's name was Ethbaal, king of Sidon. His name means with Baal. Now, Jezebel was she was really raised to be a fierce queen. She was not raised to be a queen that just sat around and allowed the king to do whatever he wanted. Ethbaal wanted to take over Israel. So, and he understood that the God of Israel was Yahweh. So he wanted to take over using the throne as a point of worship, meaning that they worship the king instead of revering the king as a man. They wanted the people to see him as a god. So he raised his daughter Jezebel to be that kind of a queen. So she ends up marrying Ahab, which was, as the Bible says, he had done more to bring God to anger than any other king before him. Jezebel's father, Ethbaal, he wanted to usurp the throne through his wife, which he was able to do. King Ahab allowed Jezebel to rule the throne vicariously through him. He wanted to be kind of an absentee king, and he did whatever she wanted. So Jezebel worshipped Ashtaroth, she worshipped Baal, and she also worshipped Asherah. And this is where we get the groves from. The groves is where they do all kind of rituals, and they do other kinds of animal sacrifice and all kind of other abominations in these groves. So this is where they did all kind of sin, and the basis of sin was to do whatever they wanted to do, be their own gods, and at the same time go against the Most High. They had to invert everything that God was. They inverted it, and they basically worshipped evil. So Baal required sacrifice of all different kinds of things, in order for him to do what he was supposed to and bring the harvest or bring rain. Nowadays they call him the Rain Man, and they worship him in a way so that they can get money. Money is what the harvest is now. So in the Bible they call the money mammon. So that's what they would, that mammon will go involved with Baal worship. So they worship him in order to get money, notoriety, fame, and fortune. So that's where we are now. Asherah is fertility goddess. She is Eve in the fallen state. She is the one of the points on the triangle. So you always have a god, which is Baal at the top. Then you have Asherah, which is the woman on the other side. And then you have the one that is worshiping. It is also a symbol of the vulva of a woman. It is the birth canal that is also being worshipped. Like I said, we always have fertility. We either worship the phallic symbol or we worship the valva. The valva is when it's depicted upside down. The triangle is upside down. The blade, what they call it, is the triangle right side up. So these are phallic symbols. I'm pretty sure we all know with 6-pointed stars. We're not going to get into that. Ishtar also is depicted with an 8-pointed star. The star usually means the woman in some kind of a way. It is usually the man and the woman coming together, kind of like the Ankh is depicted. Now, who is Beelzebub? I'm sure you guys recognize this symbol. It was the symbol that was in Hannibal, in which, I don't know if you remember when Hannibal ripped out, the guy, I forgot the guy's name that was the murderer in Hannibal, but he ripped the thing out of the book and he ate the picture because he wanted to consume Beelzebub. Beelzebub was the major deity. He was spoke about a few times in the Bible, and he is the Lord of the Flies. I'll get into why he was the Lord of the Flies in a little while. I'll let you guys kind of try to figure the riddle out and the reason why he was the Lord of the Flies. He also is the Lord of Dung. So Beelzebub is what the Baphomet is. It changed to the Baphomet, and his name comes from Baal, or the Rain Man deity. He, over time, changed from Beelzebub to Baal, and it moved forward. It went to the Canaanite Moloch also, and it in Moloch went to the golden calf that they were worshiping. I'm not doing it in the right chronological order because I'm doing this video off the head, which I really shouldn't be. I'm being kind of lazy, but I'm definitely not doing it in the right chronological order. But what I'm saying is the absolute truth. So this was the problem when Moses came down from the mountain, and after he came down from the mountain, he took too long at the mountain, so they didn't think he made it. So when he came back down, Aaron had told them to take off all the jewelry, melt it all down, and make an idol, which was a golden calf, and they were worshiping that golden calf. That in turn is what kept them from getting into the promised land. I'll talk more about that in later videos, but you get the point. So, like I said, this has been going on and on and on for the whole entire time of humanity. From the time that Adam and Eve fell in the garden, there were two bloodlines. There was one of the bloodline of the serpent, and there was one of the bloodline of Adam. Adam was basically, for lack of better terms, now he was not Jesus, but he was the first Jesus prototype. And then he fell, and then God perfected him by what I believe as immaculate conception. He came through Mary, and because he is omnipotent and omnipresent, he's able to be in all places at once. This is the reason why the conundrum of whether Jesus was God is a big debate, is because a man cannot fathom what it is to be omnipresent as well as being omnipotent. So because of those two things, he was able to come through come through Mary, and live as Jesus, as God, as the Son of the Most High, and be a living sacrifice. And he became the living sacrifice is because he required sacrifice as a way for man to atone from the sin of falling in his transgressions in the garden. So he required Adam and his lineage to do sacrifices from that time to atone. So at that time, he became the living sacrifice. And this is why they do the Eucharist. And we as Christians were taught to do the communion, in which the blood we drink is a symbol of the wine, which it goes back to the divine, which goes back to the blood, the bloodline of the Most High, and the body that was broken with unleavened bread. Leaven is a symbol of sin, which Jesus was free of sin. So the unleavened bread showed the cleanliness of sin from the body of the willing sacrifice. And his blood, like I said, was the lineage of the Most High. And us partaking in that ritual was just to go to show that our sins were atoned for. We don't have to do any more sacrifices. And now we are in the bloodline of the Most High as long as we follow Jesus. Jesus is the way. I hope that made sense to you. But now, for the absolute good part of the whole reason why I made this particular video is to tell you exactly who Satan is. God made us as the gods on this earth. He made us as the supreme beings in representation of him on this planet Earth. Him separating the waters from the waters was also him separating the spiritual from the physical. So in the physical world, as long as we follow the way of Jesus, as long as we follow that way and we are in the line of the Most High, we are the gods of this earth. Now, the curse that he gave to Beelzebub or Baal or Moloch, the curse that he gave him was to go on his belly and to eat dust. That sounds a lot like a little maggot. What happens to a maggot when it comes up out of its larvae, or when it metamorphoses itself into what it will become? It becomes a fly. The flies lay the eggs on dung or dead bodies or garbage, all of the things that Beelzebub are the king of, and they become maggots. A maggot looks a lot like a snake, and it does eat dust. It eats the dead corpses of human beings. He said, you will go on your belly and you will eat dust. He said to Adam, from dust you've come and from dust you shall return. Also, eating dust is a very, how should I say, it's a humiliating way to put you, kiss my boot. That's like back to dust. I can go into a lot of other things that, I'll crush you to dust. It's humiliating. So the good news is that the only way Satan can come from being a maggot, a lord of the flies, a lord of the dung, to being a god is if you make him a god and worship him. If you don't worship him, and if you go with the Most High, he stays a maggot. And then you just have to be God of your own body, God of your own self, God of your own sexuality, your own sex drive. As a woman, you have to do what God told you to do and cleave to your man. That's the only way that you can become a god, is if you do what God says to do. Like I said, that means to cleave to your man. For a man and a woman, it means that we should not fornicate, because that is the chief sin of the garden, is fornication. It also means that we should go together and be fruitful and multiply. Being fruitful just doesn't mean having sex and having a whole bunch of babies. What it means is to be fruitful and to bring forth God's will through your bloodline. It means to worship him. It means to follow him. It means to yield to him and obey him. It means all of those things. And as a husband and wife, you become one flesh. And that is what makes you a god. For the same thing for a man. You are not appointed God of this earth if you do not follow the directives that God has given, even to your wife. You have to work for your money. You have to provide for your wife. Now, does that mean that she just doesn't do anything? Of course not, because times have changed. You can't just provide for your wife by working in the garden, or working tilling the land, or being a farmer. You have to make money. But does that mean that, you have enough money in order to take care of her without working? That would be ideal, because if she gets into the workforce, then she'll be tempted by other men. But if she has to work, then she has to be in help meet. She has to meet you at the point of being a man. She has to allow you to be a man and to be in her feminine energy as a woman, as to be the complete part of you. Does that mean that she's weak? No, that doesn't mean she's weak. That means she's strong. The woman is strong within her feminine energy, the same as Rebecca was strong in her feminine energy. We'll go into the story of Isaac and Rebecca, and I will show you exactly how you should marry. That's a story that tells you exactly how to choose a woman. Rebecca is actually what we see in the zodiac sign as Virgo. She is carrying a what? She's carrying a water jug. And I'll go into that whole story in the future. But for now, we're going to end this video here. And like I said, just don't forget about Plain Planet. Thanks. The inspiration behind Plain Planet is not just some flat earth conspiracy theory. It's the idea that your vision in life belongs to you. You don't have to believe something that you've learned in school. You don't have to believe something that science tells you is true. You can believe what you want to believe. You could be who you want to be. This is the essence of Plain Planet. Plain Planet is a clothing line. It's a Christian clothing line on top of it that you can actually wear and be proud of. This ain't churchy or Bible thumping. This is a quality streetwear brand. This is Plain Planet. Clothing you can believe in.
Come true, and I wonder if you know. Find your dreams come true, and I wonder if you know.